Director's Reflections for October 22nd of 2023. In General Dayan's seat. General Moshe Dayan was a military genius of Israel whose war strategies and decisive wars are anthological, worthy of being captured in a manual of wars fought for survival against a superior enemy, where in addition to the army, the role of civilian volunteers influences. As a young man of 21, Dayan enrolled in the secret Jewish defense force called Haganah, which after systematic fighting led Israel to its independence in 1948. As chief of the general staff of the defense forces from 1953 to 1958, and then as Minister of Defense, he was responsible for planning the so-called Six-Day War in 1967. In that war, Israel defeated the armies of Egypt, Syria, and Jordan, annexing the holy city of Jerusalem, which made it its capital, as well as the Golan Heights in Syria and the Gaza Strip, today, again, the scene of another devastating war. Dayan was a bold leader, quick to devise punitive responses to enemy attacks or to venture into successful rescue operations, such as that of the Israelis kidnapped at the Entebbe airport in Uganda. His face became known to the world for the black patch that covered one of his eyes, which he lost during a day of sport hunting. When Israel decided to return to Egypt in 1982, the 63,000 kilometers of area occupied in the Sinai Desert in the Six-Day War to fulfill a peace pact, I was among the group of foreign journalists who witnessed the process. The return was made after a year after Dayan, the military archetype of the war, died at the age of 66. I made an extensive tour from Sharm el-Sheikh and the port of Eilat, facing the Gulf of Aqaba, visited military bases, Jewish colonies, clinics, and modern factories under the guidance of Lieutenant Robert Cooperman. I saw throughout the desert the tribes of nomadic Bedouins dressed in black who lived by herding sheep or herding herds of camels, as well as the artificial oasis created by the Israelis with water from the Jordan, which turned green the dry landscape. The reconstruction works carried out in almost 15 years of Israeli military conquest of the Sinai Desert, the Dayan military feat, remain as a legacy for Egypt. Upon leaving Sinai and returning to the territory of Israel, I was invited to tour the most emblematic cities of the Christian faith. Upon arriving in Tel Aviv, we were informed that the group of foreign journalists would be divided to complete other routes. A colleague from Costa Rican television and I were assigned a vehicle, a model from years ago, and as a guide, an Israeli diplomat who had been accredited in Uganda and knew the dictator Idi Amin well, who told us details of the bold and successful rescue operation in Antibes. But the most interesting thing about the case is that by doing so, he gave us this scoop. The vehicle in which we were traveling at that moment was precisely that of General Dayan, which kept some special accessories inside. Knowing the information, we were not surprised that some citizens frequently gave the military salute when they saw the car or approached it at a red light to look inside. It was an armored Mercedes-Benz 600 Pullman, equipped inside with a work tray, a miniature communications base, and a light bulb on the right side of the seat. Occupying Dayan's seat in the last phase of our tour made me connect with the epic glories of military genius, narrated by Dominique Lapierre and Larry Collins in their book O Jerusalem, which I devoured with relish before going to Israel. You could still feel the extraordinary symbol of power rejected by the passage of this vehicle, whose main seat I occupied for several days, without having been a hero like General Dayan. For Listín Diario, voice over and translations by Indira Rodriguez.